on a university in Dallas, Texas, Rice University. And there's this famous speech by John F. Kennedy who introduces, and he has to introduce, the manned space program by NASA. And it's a beautiful day. And, you know, everything in the world is really great. Everything is great, just great. There are more scientists, there are more machines, there's more money, we have pop music, and we're American, and everything is, you know, we have Elvis, everything is great. But there's this one thing that sort of bothers everybody, and that's an evil empire. And the sense that people are capable of self-destruction. You know, these are sort of minor details that sort of blur the optimistic view on the future. And there's another thing, and Kennedy is brilliant in his speech. He has to introduce the idea that we should go to space. And he says, we meet here in this college, noted for its knowledge, in a city noted for its progress, in a country noted for its strength. And we're in need of all three of those. And waarom dat zo is and why that is so is, he takes us, in these 3 steps, he takes us into space, from the college to the city to the state. We see the world, and we see a world where American astronauts keep exploding in their goal to get to space, and we see Russian cosmonauts just flying into space and coloring space red. And Kennedy says we have to make a choice, because if we don't do anything, space will be communist. And we can bring democracy to space, freedom. So this is a classic example of regime change, but on a sort of cosmic scale. And of course, you know, everybody knows space is a totalitarian regime, so the chances of success are very limited. But Kennedy's speech is actually, it's a declaration of war. He says, okay, you want a race? We go, we do the race. And he says, we choose to go to the moon this decade and do the other things. And it happens, and it works, and everybody wants to go to the moon, and they're in the moon, on the moon, December 1996, well, somewhere in 96. And so they made it. Same way they made it in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And so these astronauts, they're like, okay, hey, wow, shit, we're in the moon, and now what? What should we do? So, okay, let's take some pictures of each other, let's dig some sand, and hey, these are nice rocks, we'll take those rocks with us, and this is what we have to do, and right, we've got to take a picture of the Earth also. And they were basically done, actually, because there wasn't a plan for the other things. And this is actually, I think, the reason why the space program stopped, because nobody thought about the other things. What are the things we should do when we're on the moon? And I think that the mistake everybody made is that nobody really understood what the moon mission was about. It was I imagined myself being an alien anthropologist and looking at footage from 1 million years ago, and I see this huge, gigantic phallus pointed to the moon. And then I look left and I see these 3 guys dressed up as spermatozoids, and they're taken up into the elevator to the moon, to the rocket, to the top of the rocket, to the phallus, and they're projected to the moon, which is a fertility, national, mondial, Earth fertility symbol. And nobody understood the symbolism at that time. They thought, you know, we're going to win this race, and when we're there, and then we're there. And actually, they forgot what it was all about. The idea to go to the moon was actually a very existential longing to see ourselves from space. To no longer just look up to the stars, but to look down and see ourselves. And nobody knew that. So they, instead of sending Andy Warhol to the moon, they send a test pilot with a snapshot camera, and he took a picture of the Earth, and that's it. And I always had this fantasy that if people would really have grasped what they were busy with, they would have tested the machines, used all the test pilots to test the machines. I said, okay, well, we got it, it works. And they would look at each other and say, okay, it works, who we're going to send first? And nobody knows. And they look at each other, and there's this girl taking